we shall move on anyway. We'll go on to Tottenham properly as we pick our teams, and we can talk about a few bits and pieces as we go along. But I'll start with you, Theo. Obviously, we know Alisson will be in goal. Are you going to bring Ibrahima Konate straight back in, or has Matip's winning goal mean that he will keep his place?
Konate keeps it. It's back to that first choice, back 4/3, whatever we're calling it.
Let's call it 4 for now.
4. Trent inverted, Robbo on the left, and Van Dijk the other centre back. They just need more clean sheets, but that is Liverpool's strongest back 4-5, without question.
Yeah, same as Theo.
Yeah, I'm the same as well. I'd bring him straight back in. I think the fact that they saved him midweek when they could have probably pushed him probably says that he's going to come back in for this one. But maybe a little bit more interest in the midfield. Is there changes that you'd like to see there, or is it more consistency?
Yeah, I mean, I said prior to West Ham that I thought Curtis Jones would drop out. Maybe we said it prior to Forest as well. But it's such a difficult balance because if he's got the momentum, as he's got the confidence, he's kind of growing each week. When is a good time to take him out? I think obviously Sunday will be another big test, a big game at Anfield. Maybe do you look at the Fulham and Brentford games as potentially ones where you could, certainly one of those you'd expect him maybe to be given a rest. Fitness kind of issues aside, I would keep him in. I think the issue is not the issue, but the kind of dilemma for me is on the right in terms of what he does, because as we've seen with this box midfield, that obviously Henderson's kind of in that 10 half space. And I just don't think it is what goes out saying. It just isn't him, is it? And do you bring someone like Harvey Elliott in? But then obviously is the kind of looking at Spurs in terms of counter attacking and the protection that you are going to need. Do you need someone like Henderson in just more of a reserve role? But I don't know. He obviously goes with likes his tried and trusted, but then he threw Harvey Elliott into the United game, didn't he? And he's obviously kind of had a few weeks away out of the limelight after playing so much this season. So I wouldn't be surprised if he went Elliott, Fabinho, Jones. But obviously I can understand if he kind of keeps Henderson again and then maybe makes the changes on Wednesday night against Fulham. I'm
going to go with Elliott. I think if you're going to play him in that kind of system, it's probably got to be a home game. I know there's a good few home games coming up, isn't there? But I think I'd go with Elliott instead of Henderson. I thought Henderson was pretty poor, to be honest, midweek, and maybe could just be taken out for this one. But which way do you reckon?
I'm leaving it as it is. As long as Jones is fit, he keeps his place. He has been the standout midfielder at the moment. I've got this issue with midfield. On paper, the strongest one is still Thiago, Fabinho, Henderson, but we've seen this season that doesn't work anymore. It doesn't have the legs anymore. And it's about getting the balance right. You can't have Thiago and Elliott in the same midfield because you need that bit more physicality, and that's what Henderson and Jones to a lesser extent provide. Maybe need to be a bit more conservative for a game against Tottenham. They don't have many midfielders that have the legs that defensively that Henderson can offer, like the alternative James Milner. And while he hasn't played, he's a bit fresher. He'd still lean towards your captain, a bit of experience and leadership. But then when you've got Brentford, Fulham coming up, teams that you'd like to think are on the beach, when you're playing at Anfield, that's when you can put in a Thiago, Elliott. If you're on the ball more, have more control of it. So yeah, for that consistency and rhythm, I'd keep the midfield as it is for this one.
It's interesting that none of us have gone for Thiago. It probably says a lot about his performances since he's come back.
I thought he was really good against Arsenal in his comeback game. I thought it was a lovely little cameo from him. But I just wonder now with this new system in terms of you look at the position where Trent picks up the ball from in that kind of that kind of half space. In between the midfield and the defence, and that's kind of Thiago's trick on the other side. They both, Van Dijk isn't spraying one of his, cannonball diags. It's Thiago who would normally pick it up. So I do wonder if maybe they are keeping him back just in just to experiment with Trent in that sense of, we want to see what this role can do. And obviously, whilst Spurs haven't been in great form in recent times, it's still a big game at Anfield. Another, if Liverpool win this game with this new system, you're unbeaten in 6. You've again talking about winning in every kind of way. You've won a big game at Anfield with that, and whether the control will be there for the 90 minutes again. It's another huge tick off ahead of next season. I just think with Thiago, you know what you're going to get. So it's you might as well kind of experiment with the likes of Elliott and Trent in that kind of position as well. So
yeah, certainly something to watch out for in the last few games. I'm sure he will get some minutes. Less sure about Naby Keita. None of us have mentioned him, but there's a possibility that he might be back in. But we shall see if he plays again for Liverpool. But Theo, in terms of the forward line, I would be surprised if Luis Diaz was to start, but I'm sure we'll see him again. But what do you reckon? Is there a shout for Darwin Núñez? I think it's interesting sort of where he fits into this new look attack.
It's an interesting one because Jota did take that heavy blow to his back. I know Klopp says they need to have a look at it, see how that develops. look good in this new formation. He's obviously better defensively than Darwin Núñez. He works harder without any start on Núñez there. He speaks the language, so it helps him bed in more. Like Klopp said a few times now, all these, when you piece them together, this is why Jota is starting and Núñez isn't, because Liverpool will need that bit of familiarity. They need that harder work defensively, leading from the attack. But you've got to protect him as well. He's had so many injuries this year, big injuries. We don't know how bad the back one was. It looked painful.
He had a scream from you.
It was a loud scream. He was taken off just before the hour mark. I thought Diaz looked really good when he came on. But
he looked sharp, didn't he?
It's probably he came too early to
I think
give him
Fulham
that
would be
start.
a good,
So if Jota's fit, Jota keeps his place. But if they are worried about him, Darwin's the only one left for me. So it's that asterisk next to one of them.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I think I'd stick with Diogo Jota. I know he wasn't great, was he? But he scored 4 in 3 now instead of 4 in 2. It's not too bad.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. I mean, the whole Núñez conundrum was an interesting one, and I'm sure something that will be heavily kind of analysed in the summer in terms of where does he fit long term. When you have Luis Diaz and kind of Diogo Jota is what seems now your left side pairing. Obviously, Cody Gakpo at the minute is indispensable down the middle as well. I thought he was brilliant again in terms of bringing other people into play on Wednesday night, and obviously Mohamed Salah speaks for himself. So, yeah, I think obviously the left side is the kind of only one where you make a debate. But as Theo says, Jota's done well. It's just whether he kind of, you're looking at not taking unnecessary risks this stage of the season when top 4 is potentially gone. So I'll side with Theo on this one and yourself, and I'd start Jota. I think keeps his place, but obviously, there's no problems if Núñez starts that one because obviously does a game on Wednesdays, and so it could be a good chance for him to get some much needed rhythm.
Yeah, I think if Núñez does play, it will probably be off the left. I think.
Yeah.
In terms of what Cody Gakpo has done, I've been really impressed with him. He's one of my favourite players at the moment. Which my favourite player changes quite often. But he's certainly.
I'm surprised we don't have one this season.
Yeah, well, yeah, my least worst player.